Hi class, this video is going to be on factoring quadratics using the box method. This is a method that we covered in class, and again I just want to stress that you do not have to do it this way if you do not like. If you prefer to factor by grouping, that is completely okay. But I wanted to go ahead and give you another example of using the box method because I know several of you were interested. So let's say we need to factor this quadratic, negative 12x squared plus 10x plus 12. Well, the very first thing you must do when using the box method is to first factor out anything that maybe all of the terms have in common, in which case is 2. And the other thing you want to do is make sure that the first term is not negative. So it's negative 12x squared right now. Well, we want this to actually be a positive. So instead of factoring out 2, we're going to factor out negative 2. So factoring out negative 2, I'm going to get 6x squared minus 5x minus 6. Now I'm just going to kind of ignore the negative 2 that I've factored out, and I'm going to do my factoring on the 6x squared minus 5x minus 6. That's what I'm going to factor, that's what I'm going to use the box method on. So to use the box method, I take the first term and the last term and I multiply them together. That gives me 6x squared times negative 6, which is equal to negative 36x squared. Then I ask, what two terms, when multiplied together, multiply to negative 36x squared, but add to negative 5x squared? That turns out to be, well, we know 4 times 9 is 36, and we want negative 5x, so we're going to be looking at negative 9x and positive 4x. Note that multiplied together, negative 9x times 4x gives me negative 36x squared, and when added, negative 9x plus 4x, this gives me negative 5x. This is exactly what I want. I wanted two terms that multiply to the negative 36x squared and add to the negative 5x. So these are my two terms. I'm going to actually circle them. Now, this is where I create my box. So over here on the right, I'm going to draw a box. Oh, hold on. Let's make it lower. Like this. And in the first box goes my first term. And when I say first term, I'm actually referring to this. Again, remember I'm ignoring the negative 2 for the time being. So in the first box goes the 6x squared. In the last box goes my last term, which is the negative 6. And then my other two boxes goes these two terms. So I put negative 9x and 4x. It doesn't matter which one goes where, just as long as I put them both. So now that I've drawn these out, now I factor my rows and my columns. So first I will look at my first row. So I will factor this, and what they have in common is a 2x. And then I'll look at this row, and they have a 3 in common. And now remember I said in class, you give it the sign of whatever is the sign closest to where I'm writing. Well, I'm going to be writing right here, which means I'm looking at the sign of this term, and it's negative, which means I'm actually going to put a negative 3. And then now I'm going to factor my rows. So the first row, they share a 3x actually. Now again, I give it the sign of the first term. This one's negative, but it doesn't matter because this one is actually positive. So this one is going to get a positive sign. And I do the same thing with this row, and I get positive 2x. I mean positive 2, no x. So these actually become my factors. And I get 2x minus 3 times 3x plus 2, but we're not quite done because we don't want to forget that we had this negative 2 over here that we were ignoring for the time being. So then all we do is go ahead and put that negative 2 out in front, and this is my final answer.
Made with Doodlecast Pro.